I was so ashamed of the person that I was becoming and for the mistakes that I was making that I couldn't even face myself in the mirror anymore. I remember I was sitting in my car on the edge of the lake, feeling so ashamed after another one-night stand and another hit of dope. I wanted it to end. Either it was the drugs that were going to take me, or I was going to end it all myself. I was so angry and disappointed that I remember screaming, "There's got to be more to life than this." By the time I was 17, I was struggling with an opioid use disorder. For those of you who do not know what opioids are, I want to encourage you to please become educated, because heroin and prescription pills are destroying our communities, not only throughout the state, but across the nation. 1 out of 3 households today are being affected by the addiction crisis, and mine was one of them. You see, it all started with a secret that I held on to for too long that eventually it made me sick. But the secret that I kept wasn't about my addiction. Using, for me, was just a way to cope or to mask the pain. No, for me, it was so much deeper than that. My secret was that I never felt good enough.
Father Danny Darvey, my hero, my Superman, he was a good man. He was a caring husband. He was a loving father. He was a Vietnam vet that served this country. My pops was also an alcoholic. He was a methamphetamine user, and best believe he was a heroin addict. And when my mother gave him that ultimatum, my father looked her back in the eyes and said, "Tammy, take Douglas and go, before I do in fact destroy this family." So that's what she did, right? She packed us up, she put us on a plane, she flew us home to the mean streets of Waupaca. And that's where I was raised. And we can go into it, we can talk about the goods and the bads, and frankly, how we got there, like you said, it didn't really matter. I do come from a good family, a loving home. I never even saw addiction in the household. You see, when I saw my father, well, my father had found sobriety. And for 10 years of my life, I got to go out and I got to watch what that meant. I was a part of the 12-step meetings. I watched my dad go out, he created a new family, he built a new business, he gave that struggling hand a firm anchor to hang on to. And I watched him do it. Now, whatever happened in my father's life, that's his story. I was shielded from a lot of my dad's downfalls. I was arrested on September 9th in 2010. And by this time I was already a 3-time convicted felon in my life, so it's not like I wasn't privy to what happens when you go to jail. But I got booked in, I had my pictures taken, had my fingerprints taken, and they take it to India Pod in Brown County Jail. That's classification. And I remember I sat there for the night, and I knew I had this like 8-year impending heroin detox that I was about to go through. And early that morning, my charges got slid under my door. And I remember that morning going over them, and I was adding years in my head, and adding years. And when I got to the end, I found out I was a 25-year-old male facing 88 years in prison. I thought life was done. I was facing 25 years just because in this great state of Wisconsin, if you're even charged with 2 felonies on a 5-year basis, you're known as a habitual criminal. I was facing 25 years in extenders alone. I stood for count that morning. And afterwards, the jail kind of opens up. You get to go to the day room, you get to go use the showers, you get to use the facilities that are available to you. I stood for count, and as count cleared, I walked to the showers. I took my own orange jail pants off, I strung them around my neck, I put them up in the shower, and I attempted to take my own life. And as I sat there dying in that shower that day, there was no hope. There was no light at the end of the tunnel. I just wanted that pain to stop, right? Now I got to share with you on how full circle this story comes for me. You see, I have a baby brother, and his name is Andrew. My baby brother is 10 years younger than me. As I was dying in that shower that day, my baby brother Andrew was going through the very first week of his freshman year of high school at Holt, okay? Almost a decade to the date later, the one thing I said I would never do, I'd never commit, I would never put my family through, I in fact was doing. It's because of my baby brother Andrew, my baby brother Mitchell, and my baby sister Alyssa, who just graduated from Bayport this year. It's those 3 kids, all right? Now, they didn't put me into recovery, they didn't do my prison sentence for me, but they gave me a moment of clarity. That was it, right? Like, I finally had the real choice. I was gonna be my father. Or for the first time in my life, I could understand who Douglas Darvey was and just take a chance. Now I stood up and I proceeded to go through the worst 19-day cold turkey detox that I'd ever experienced in my life, right? But when I emerged from that cell, I emerged sober. For the first time in my adult life, I didn't have something the size of an aspirin controlling every action, every moment. Now don't get it twisted, I still went to prison. I still had major consequences to pay for my actions. And believe me, every day that I spent in prison, I deserved. Every day.
Available at the Waupaca Clinic at ThedaCare. We're trying to expand that to include Suboxone. There's a lot of use in doing that because providers need extra CME. And we're also working on a task force that has executive level support from ThedaCare, from Dr. Darvey, to really look at treatment facilities, especially in our rural places. 7 hospitals, 5 of them are critical access, and in the last 2 years running, 40% of the overdoses happen in Waupaca Hospital and Shawano Hospital. And that includes 2 huge valley hospitals. It's really impressive, the burden that's on our rural communities.
That's great. That's great. So one of the next questions that I have is, what does drug court do for people?
I guess that one would be me. I'm Aaron Holt, I'm the coordinator for the Waupaca County Treatment Court. The treatment court started about August 1st, was actually 9 months since we became live and active. What we do for people is people that are charged with felony drug or drug-related crimes can be referred into the treatment court program. There's an assessment process to go through, and then they can be accepted into the program. It is a voluntary program. The program lasts a minimum of 14 months. Typically it takes about 18 to 24 months to get all the way through the whole program. It's a team of people. Kevin's on the treatment court team. Chief of Police Brian Giselle on the treatment court team. Judge, public defender, district attorney, probation, treatment provider, all incorporate the team. They're held accountable through drug testing. They're provided treatment services, additional treatment, mental health services if that's needed. They are provided additional resources. Health and Human Services provides services for us as well and additional resources. So what we try to do is provide them a full continuum of care through that whole process while they're in there, to get them engaged in the recovery process and eventually maintaining their own recovery as they get ready to graduate from the program.
You know, we try to catch people that are low-level users and work our way up so we can eventually arrest the people that are actually bringing it into the community. It's a little different than the heroin problem where people are driving. A lot of the meth is coming right from the valley or from within the county. So it's trying to hold people accountable that are bringing it here. You know, on the federal level, they're obviously trying to figure out how the cartels are getting it in, and every time they close one way, it seems like they find another. But from a law enforcement perspective, that's how we're trying.